Hey, how's it going?
Good, how are you?
Pretty good. Pretty good.
Glad you could join us.
Yeah, me too.
You haven't met Raja, right?
No, not at all.
Mhm.
But yeah, how's it been going in Chicago?
You know, it's not all that exciting.
Hanging around.
Yeah, well, yeah. J term just started, so
Right, right.
it's Raja. The production rules for cinema are so intense with COVID. They're basically
Are
not
Hello?
they?
anything. Yeah, no productions off site.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's crazy.
Hello, can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can
Yeah,
hear you.
hi.
Hi, Raja.
Okay, cool. Hi.
Hi.
I'm Hakim. So yeah, I like this cut a lot, Raja. We're getting so much closer.
Yeah, I read through the whole doc for the feedback,
Uh-huh.
and yeah, I agree with a lot of things that have been said, but I think it's always good to try like ideas and see like what works, what not.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Like for example, I really agree with the fact that this kind of alternative editing doesn't work for the film. Maybe it makes it a bit like I think it also has to do a lot with the pace. I don't know. Like I felt when I was editing, I really felt that this alternative editing might not work. Maybe it would be better if we stick with kind of full sequences. I'm not sure though.
You mean as opposed to going back and forth?
Yeah. Like this parallel editing, because I think
Yeah.
it's a bit it's a
It's
bit pushed.
disjointed.
Yeah. And yeah. Oh, Hakim is here. Wow, it's been so long.
Hi, Keen.
I think it's been more than 3 years.
I know. Hi, Raja.
Hello. So good to see you.
Good to see you. You know that I asked you. I think where are you in? You're not in France, are you?
No, now I'm in Brussels with
You're in
some
Brussels.
friends. Yeah.
Okay. Because I
Yeah.
have. I think I'm gonna be in Paris and
Mhm.
then Lyon and then Brussels and maybe Anvers, je crois.
Uh,
In
when?
I that's the sticking point I still have because I'm not sure about the travel.
Uh-huh.
Keep getting these official answers from people who work at the different embassies and consulates about the fact
Mm-hmm.
that you cannot travel.
Yeah.
And every time I've traveled, nobody asks for anything, not even for a test for negative COVID. But
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know if
Francis,
I
sorry. Hey, Kim, can you move your microphone away from your jacket?
oh, it's a
Yes.
scratch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
Sorry, don't
But
mean to sound engineer you, but we're getting a
no,
lot of
but
feedback.
you should because I wouldn't know how to do that.
yeah. But
That's,
you are now in the States or
I'm in Chicago.
Morocco?
I
Ah,
I've gone back and forth. I think the last one was 5 times since
oh, wow.
September. I
Yeah. Well, I don't know, like here the situation it's getting like worse
think. Yeah, everywhere.
in Europe in
Everywhere.
general.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
everywhere.
And like I don't see a silver lining.
There is.
So
There
maybe
is.
like would
Next
be
summer.
Yeah.
yeah, I really think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's good to see you guys. Um, I I just Jackie, I was busy. I'm editing a trailer for my film, so I just saw your note. I think it's a good idea that we all open the cut,
Mm-hmm.
um, and because I thought that would be actually very helpful to us,
Mm-hmm.
also to Raja.
Mm-hmm.
If we, and I was thinking like for our process, Jackie, I don't know if you have any other ideas, but I was just thinking that it would actually be a good idea to like almost go cut by cut.
Mm-hmm.
Um, uh, so my, I think that Raja, are you cutting on Premiere?
No, I'm using Final Cut.
You're using Final Cut.
Yeah.
What do you guys think if Raja actually opens her Final Cut because she will have the cuts?
Yeah.
And you can just scroll from cut to cut, and we react and we take notes and you take notes.
Okay. Do you guys mind if you give me like 5 minutes? I just have to get my hard drive.
Yeah, no, that's totally fine. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, go ahead.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to be like to impose, but
No, no, no.
I just thought it would make your job much easier.
Yeah, and it's more efficient.
And
Yeah.
Raja, while you're gone, I'm going to catch Hakim up a little bit on our
Okay.
last sessions, just so
Okay.
he's
Okay.
up to speed. But take
Cool.
your time.
Okay, cool.
I think I have the cut here.
So Hakim, we're at cut 14. So we've done this 13 times. We're in cut 14.
Cut 14.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
We started the first cut we took a look at over the summer. And we just were missing everything from Morocco that I was able to shoot, that we were able to get the last thing just a couple weeks ago with the bootmaker.
Yeah.
I agree with you, and I want to have this discussion with Raja. And Zack was the lead cinematographer in Morocco, so Indiana. So I wanted him. He's very familiar with the footage we shot.
Sure.
He and I both have noticed things that we shot that are missing that would add. So that's why I really, and also because he's been so involved in the film
Sure.
since the beginning.
I think it's a good idea.
But I want to have this larger discussion that you brought up, this larger point, like what is the film trying to do? Because I think that we started in one place and we've ended in another place. This was not the film we set out to make. Raja isn't aware of this because she came on to edit, but Zack and I both know what the film that we were attempting to make when we started in September 2019.
Yeah.
It's not where we ended up. So,
For sure.
and I think that there are elements of some of the footage that are still trying to be what the film was going to be in 2019 that it no longer is.
Yeah.
Zack, I don't know if that's your sense as well.
I agree.
I think so. Yeah, for sure. Because I think the original film was like more comparative and like trying to make a statement about belonging and stuff.
Yeah.
And it's not there as much anymore.
And race, right? And it doesn't have to, even like the doctor sort of almost feels, I want him only because he's a person of color, except that with Morocco in there, we don't really need him because we have people of color.
His part is probably like the most tertiary kind of like interview in there.
Well, because it was very specific to like this whole idea that you had this white rural town and this black doctor came to town and he was trying to open up a medical office. It's the sheriff called on him, and it was really, he was appropriate when it was more about race. And he's just kind of less appropriate now in my mind. And the more quirky things about Morocco, like the snowmobile museum, which is so bizarre, isn't there at all.
Yeah.
Which I think we can consider. So anyway, I think it was, Raja, what we were saying is that I think this wasn't the film that we set out to make. It's turned into something else. And so I think it is good to have just a brief discussion about what do we want to do with the film? What is the purpose of this? And Hakim, you're the big leader among us, so as well. So just, what's the point of view? And so Hakim, that's where I would rely on you because you're an outsider now coming into the process, like at this point, but you're also the most you're the most experienced among us, and also this is what you do best, is the thinking about film.
I think I just think it's it doesn't matter like because what I can still remember is the conversation we had around your dining table. That was the last thing I was literally physically with each other when the whole idea about Morocco and the other and us and all that stuff came up. I think it's totally natural that the film takes a life of its own. The beauty of editing, because you're directing basically now, Raja. And I think if that's the case, then first we need to be aware or kind of like know what the film wants to tell us. It's like, what does the footage want? What is the footage telling us?
Yeah.
That if we think, oh, okay, well, this is interesting. If the African American doctor is not really, I don't.
Your microphone, Hakim, keeps hitting. We can't hear. Yeah. Can you hold it up or something?
No, that's okay. I think I'll just hold it like this. So it's basically when it hits, right?
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, I didn't even know that this was actually a mic. I'm sorry.
You thought it was just headphones.
So I'm thinking that we need to listen to the footage. Listening, I mean watching and asking questions. And then if whatever the film is trying to tell us now makes sense to everybody, then we need to help it by implementing or adding whatever is not there.
Yeah.
Like, you know, Jackie just mentioned something about the snowmobile museum.
Yeah.
So I think that's one step. The other step, and this is Zach. Remember, I don't think we agreed on the shoemaking sequence.
Oh yeah.
Being like dispersed, it seems to me like when you do that, you're privileging format or form over content, and so it becomes almost like a gimmick.
Yeah.
When that's why I think what I was trying to do, I was just trying to say, okay, let's pause. Let's take all the footage that you have now with whatever sequences that were not used without the talking heads.
Yeah.
And just put those together. Just put do an assembly of like the best sequences that you think you have, regardless of structure or regardless what you think the scenes are trying to say. That's why, Zach, I was thinking, because if you listen anytime, and I suffered from this for a long time, and then I had to stop myself. Anytime I find myself putting music over a rough cut, I know something is not working.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
why
I just want to maybe like everyone has their ways, but just to clarify, I didn't intend for the music to be in the film. Sometimes it helps me to just pace things. Just like
no,
because I mean just
that's
to
perfect. But I just think listening to the sounds of the feather, of the scissors cutting, or you had to, right? I mean, you to the boom. I think listening to the natural sound. Again, I respect how everybody works. I'm just thinking like color grading, special effects, dissolves, fades, all that stuff. That's the last thing you want to worry about. You want your film to stand on its own with just simple cuts. And if you're cutting, like a lot of people like checkerboarding, for example, I always think, no, let's just have like one line of video and stereo audio.
Yeah, I definitely agree.
Because there are a lot of things that they're just imposed, and you start wondering. So I don't know if you have your cut, but I have a few things that are kind of like bothering me that I thought I just want to ask why. Like for example, when there's this shot of this man and a kid that we see at the very beginning of the film, like a few shots after the title, or maybe it's like the first one. There's a man and a child walking from behind into some space.
Yeah.
I have no clue who those are, because that early in the film, I'm thinking, oh, these are our characters.
Yeah.
And they turn out not to be.
Yeah.
I don't see those. So
my
question is,
I
who are they?
Yeah.
Why do we have that shot there? Do you need that shot? I just an example. That's why I was thinking, go by like maybe a process of elimination now, or a question mark. On specific shots. Like there's this one, there's another one that I thought, what are we trying to do? It's your interview, Jack, with the priest. He said,
oh yeah, no, we've already, Raj and I have talked, he's got to go.
That we needed him to say, again, that's why I thought, let's mute or take out all the talking heads, all the, because I mean, I heard the story about the creation or the name of the town like 4 times. It takes 1/3 of the film. I'm thinking, do we really need to hear everybody and their uncle describe how that? I think maybe you want to take the most colorful one. First one is the guy reading from the history book. And do you need that? Again, it. I prefer somebody who has who's
Character.
telling, who's telling that story, and maybe it's a little colorful. We know it's it's not
It's more subjective.
true or not, but how do you want to shape that?
Yeah. No, I mean, I definitely agree with like everything you said right now.
Can you share the screen with us?
Yes.
I just wanted to say too, we've gone back and forth on this, and Raja, we may have to revisit this again. I love the new footage with the boot because I think it pulls the entire film together. And I wonder if we should put it at the end. The way that Hakim, the way that we had started on the last cut was with the kids in Morocco.
You're talking about a cut that we haven't seen, Zack and I.
No, well, I know, but I'm just telling you, but it's in the film. We started with the kids. We started with the kids in Morocco drawing about Morocco, Indiana as a way to lead into the film.
Sure.
And
but I hope without Mazuz, because I was thinking it broke it. It made it more into like a little, I don't want to, it's not as like bad as being like a little piece of propaganda or something, but that was Mazuz, right? Who was telling the students what to do?
Yeah.
The teacher.
Is he the teacher? That's Bunker, right?
Yeah, it's Bunker.
Yeah, there's a little bit of the official, maybe because I don't know the guy, because I know him, you know, that
yeah, Bunker's he's a PR machine.
Yeah, but see, you can't miss that. You don't want that to be a film.
Because no, that's true.
But think about it. Think about if we just see the kids drawing without the introduction. Forget about the exposition. Forget about like where we are, and you're giving hints a little bit here and there.
Yeah.
That would tell you how those two sequences would want to be edited.
Yeah.
Do you parallel? Do you go back and forth? Or do you start with the Americans and then the Moroccans later? Or do you reverse that? And I agree with Zack that I don't know if you guys did take like stills of the drawing Moroccans because I can't see anything.
They did, but I think because they drew on a white paper with the only how do you say it, like
colored pencils.
Colored pencils, you can't really see it.
So
there's
So I'm just like, it's a technicality. I know that we're looking at a low res that's not touched yet.
Yeah.
So do you and maybe that's a Jackie question too. Jackie, do you think that is there anything visible from that? Because there's stuff you can do.
Oh yeah, no, and remember, I have all the drawings. So if we had I have
that's great.
I have everything. I have the stuff from Morocco, Indiana, and I have the drawings from Morocco, the country. So we could reshoot those in a studio with different lighting and enhance it.
Yeah. And maybe there's a way to, I don't know. It's like this is screaming like rewrite, like of these two of the. It's maybe two of the strongest sequences in the film that you have about how, you know, when we were talking about the other, for example, remember, and we kind of point out because they are kids. And the way they express themselves and the way they describe, the way they imagine it, I don't know if I like that flag behind the kids there. But I mean, that's what you have, and it's but that's one thing that I like definitely it'd be like a no. So my point is, if you're going to do something to like this shot that we are looking at now, would it make sense to also just get rid of that background? I know the Moroccans are going through this like almost a new nationalist kind of thing where everybody's wearing flags.
No, the background, it was only because we were so restricted because of COVID protocols at the community center. And we needed to get them off the asphalt playground where the sun was glaring and put them in a spot where the light was better. And of course, Boopker was like, oh, how about in front of the
I know. You're lucky that he didn't put the king's portrait there.
We actually, we were 20 minutes behind schedule because he went to hang his neighborhood association banners in the background. So it was just, oh my God, stop.
Zach, do you know, or Zach and Raja maybe, do you know that instead of the green screen or blue screen, if this is considered a red screen?
An orange screen, or yeah, red screen.
Can you do something like, or can you do something to get rid of it?
Or maybe just get rid of the star basically and just leave the red screen.
I don't know, but no.
Yeah, you can.
Work.
You could do that. Yeah, you could
Well,
do that.
the idea is that you do have to take into account the fact that your audience is going to be looking for whatever is on those shots. So do you cut right when this boy is pointing, and then you go you cut to what Jackie was suggesting about having the shots, or how do you do it? Because while they are describing and pointing, you're getting distracted by not finding or not seeing what they're looking at.
That's true.
Can you start from the beginning and just like scroll one shot after the other?
So how do I should I cut the sound? Because
no, you don't have to play. You just go. You just
okay.
Arrow like shot one, and then we
Like this?
Sorry, you can do that. I mean, do the whole thing. Zach, this is where I thought like have the whole piece and listen to it and see what you have going for you there is that you have somebody who's not pretending to be anything other than what he is.
Yeah.
Have an artisan. There's a demeanor to them. There's a dignity level there. There's quite a bit that's happening that you just need to play play the rushes, and just find look at that face. I mean, there's a whole lot that telling
I agree
that the editing cannot give you. Like so go to the next cut. I saw here, I don't know if you were trying to match cut, but it doesn't work as a match cut. So maybe you just go to a jump. It's okay because the shot scale is different.
Do you have a lot of coverage of this guy?
Yeah, I think it's like 1 hour of the whole process basically.
Wow. I mean, I think it would be pretty cool to just kind of like have a bit of a longer scene of just like showing like what he's doing and his face concentrating and stuff. And I think that would bring me into it a little.
I agree.
More.
And once you have that, Jackie, we were just talking about Zach asking, well, you heard the whole thing. You were multitasking. But the idea is like, okay, cut this sequence where you get a sense of the time and the pacing of how this person works. And then the question will remain, where does it go? Because you're giving it to me like first thing in the film, and then I hear the whole thing about the guy coming off coming off of the back of his horse and walking towards these people in mud, and then I've already seen a few things that, so I don't know if that's a good way to prepare us, or do you want it to be like a synthesis? Like, do you want it to be at the end of the film after we have had our story told, then you give us the illustration of somebody making somewhat the same booth that the same fair that the town was named. But you don't have to answer that question now. I'm just saying that's something I think you may want to keep in mind. Like, where does this go? And So
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, I think it all depends on the narrative of the film somehow. Yeah.
that's why I said like you cut it, and
Yeah.
again, Zach, it's like you do batches. You cut this sequence
Yeah.
with a question mark as to where
Mhm.
structurally it may fall. And
Mhm.
again, you don't have to answer no, but at least you would have it sitting there. You know why it's there, and you know how it flows.
No, I'm editing a documentary of my own right now, and I'll definitely like get stuck for a couple days and then decide to just go into the footage and like cutting things together. And I have no idea like where where it's gonna go, but you know, something ends up working well and I end up inserting it.
It's nice to be cut into like mood and moment
Yeah.
rather than plot lines and
Mhm.
structure the way you want it. The film is already telling you that's not what you wrote. That's not what you discussed. Let's go somewhere else. So you need to just find your way to the little pathway. Um, and then you have the title right after this.
Few shots
Yeah,
and yes,
yeah.
yeah. But,
That's another question. Like, where does your title go?
yeah.
Uh, because we because like now you have established one Morocco
Mhm.
and not the other one.
Mhm.
Do we
Yeah.
both before we throw that title, that Morocco?
Mhm.
Morocco? I
Mhm.
don't know. I'm just saying.
Mhm.
So here's an idea. I love extending the scene. I love, wherever it ends up, the beginning or the end. I like having it. I like spending more time with it, with
Yeah.
a lot more than actual sound, no music. But if we left it at the beginning, it's possible that we could start narrating the story of Morocco, Indiana from him.
Mm,
You know what I
that's
mean? Like we're
why.
hearing like in the year 1812, so and so, like so the transition then comes from him and the Boots to Morocco, Indiana, where we're directly connecting the stories at that point.
I see what you're trying to do. Yeah. I mean that's the I mean this is where editing becomes writing, and you're really you're
Mhm.
now into. So basically, you're saying that you want to go past like introducing physically Morocco, and then Morocco, Indiana before the title. You're saying that you can use sound you can use
Yeah,
Morocco, Indiana audio over Morocco
ex-
visual video.
exactly.
Yeah,
And then you bring in the title.
yeah. Then you bring in the title, and then after that, one thing that I was missing, I was hoping I would get, because I know that you have a lot of drone shots, Zach, of Morocco, Indiana, and I was thinking, well, I don't think I'm a big fan of like a big establishing shots, but in this case, I was.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Title. If you're gonna take me from Morocco to
Yeah.
Vienna, I needed the establishing shots of
Yeah.
things, of where we are, of space.
No, that I think the transition was really great between like the kids
Yeah,
like drawings of Morocco, Indiana, or of small town America, and then you're like floating over it all of a sudden. I think that was like one of the strongest transitions that I saw in the cut.
But maybe the kids in Morocco come in too early at this point. Maybe we move them. Maybe we go from Morocco to Morocco, Indiana with the big establishing shot, and then to whoever was narrating for us. So we have a connection and we have a character emerge, right? So it's character driven, and we figure out how to deal with the school kids later in the film.
yeah, yeah, maybe.
I don't know. I mean, this is just,
Well,
brainstorming.
I mean, we're brainstorming. We're just throwing. We're thinking about it.
Yeah. But can I say something? I think a lot of it has to do with like structure wise. I think a lot of it would be a bit more clear if we kind of determined what the film might be about. Because since now we have we have all the footage that has been shot. I think somehow if the point of view of the film is a bit more clear, then the structure would also follow, and then the form, of course, because I think it comes after that.
Well, if you think about, the film is about unraveling the mystery of Morocco,
Yeah.
Indiana. Like the whole premise of this is like what was really where we started. I mean, we took all these side journeys, but it was like you have this town named Morocco in the middle of nowhere, Indiana. What the hell?
Yeah.
I mean, that's what the film is about, right? And
Well,
so
this reminds me, Jackie. Remember when you sent me the shot of your son saying, "Mom,
where are all the Moroccans?" Yeah.
Morocco, where are all the Moroccans?" I think that I would use that shot. I don't care if it's low res, or I would use it. You know, maybe that's your first shot. Because that shot gives you pretty much everything.
Yeah. I mean, you're right. And when we think about when I sent that to you in last July.
Yeah, and I told you I would definitely keep that, because it just lays it out. It's the simplest, most efficient, sweetest way, and it's coming from a kid, you know, who's just wondering. I'm just saying. You said this is Morocco. Where are all the Moroccans?
Yeah.
And you start wondering with him. But I think it's a good question, Raja. I don't know that I can answer that question now about what is the point of view, or whose point of view is it? Because I think right now it tends to be more of an omniscient kind of voice. It's like a know-it-all. Like we are. I mean, I guess in other words, it still feels like a report, like a news report. And maybe that's why there is no one specific point of view of
That would be my fault.
it's no, but that's
But I think it's
but I think
written,
it's
the
a
writing
good
of the film
question to
process.
ask. Yeah,
Yeah.
and this is why maybe you don't have to answer that question right now until you
Yeah.
until you've taken your blocks and
Yeah.
put them together and then see.
Yeah. I think it comes from the footage itself, because
Yeah.
somehow I think it's now the writing, let's say, where you would write actually, okay, the film is about this and this from what you, I mean, what's at display.
Who is that behind you?
That was Rafi.
There you go. So this is the shot I was talking about.
Yeah.
Who are these two characters?
Yeah. I think they're just kids from a father, I think, and a son. And they
just a random. They're not in the film. He was just filming them going into the center. It has nothing to do with the film.
And I don't know if it's a coffee shop, if
it's confusing a little.
It is confusing, yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm not usually one to like say, okay, delete that, but
delete
that.
Yeah.
Even now, and just leave your.
Well, it was supposed to be an establishing shot, I think, to get us into the center, but we weren't wide enough in the beginning to know, so we were just, we sort of started too close up.
Yeah.
I mean, so.
And that's the other thing that okay, so that shot, and then we go to Bubker, like it's excruciating for me to hear and because I'm thinking, because again, we are thinking, okay, well, we gotta introduce. No, you don't have to introduce. You can just go straight to the kid's drawing.
Okay.
You know, you're not losing anything. What you're losing is the heaviness of. I know Booker is all good intentions. I mean, I'm saying his name, but if I didn't know him, I would say, why am I listening to this guy? Because the way he's giving the instructions, it's just a bit forced. Unlike the teacher, although even the teacher in her classroom, there are times when she's trying to please you guys, the crew, but it's kind of sweet. It's not. There's something maybe
She's less polished. She wasn't the public relations person for the U.S. Embassy in Morocco.
Yeah. So I mean, let's say you don't have a teacher here. You just have these kids, and the setting is kind of interesting. I don't like to talk about what's not there, but the way this was shot, because again, it was shot to give information. It was not shot to take advantage of those colors in the background, take advantage of how the kids are spaced out, focus a little bit, have more like close-ups of the faces, of the hands, and all this stuff. But we don't care now because.
Well, we have tons of that though. We have that. We have that footage, right, Raja? You've seen it. We have so many close-ups. We have.
I just think if you go, can you imagine if you start with the most extreme close-up you have of this scene, and then you work your way back out?
Yeah.
No, I like that a lot.
Does that make sense?
Start in and pull out. And Raja, you have the footage. I mean, I know you have. You can look through and find enough close-ups.
Like, especially in pieces like this, the more mystery you have, that keeps us wondering, the better off.
Yeah,
Good.
I mean,
good. Yeah,
there are some shots. Yes.
There you go. Yeah. So that's what I was thinking. Yeah. But I would definitely. I mean, if you have one shot where the so-called teacher is kind of like walking around, but he's walking around, and there's almost like a point where he's kind of poking at one of the students, like, what is that? And so it's like, don't make any judgment. And that's a difference, I guess. I mean, I know Bukir is not a teacher, but in terms of just being open to what your children are giving you.
I think it was Sid Field who was writing about screenwriting for films, and he wrote something that was essentially like, like a script or an edit or a film in general is like a bunch of questions that you're like asking the audience and then like providing an answer later, but it's like a game of keeping people like wondering what's going on, but still keeping them satisfied and stuff. And I think having that kind of like push pull between like
that's exactly right. Raja, that's what when I wrote that, the film seems to be more about the what than the how. It's like you're not making a thesis. You're not doing something that you're trying to argument.
Yeah.
As an essay, you're sharing with us a sense of people's perceptions of each other at a level that's not, you're not making a huge statement about cultural backgrounds and conceptions and stereotyping and all this stuff. You're bringing it down to something that's simple, and I think that there's nothing wrong with that. But you just you try to stay away from the fact that you are giving the information.
By the way, I just got a notification that Zoom is giving us a gift and letting us go beyond 40 minutes.
They are nice to you. You have connections. Can you just like hit your you can just hit your arrow, like right arrow.
Yeah.
The next shot.
Yeah. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, yes. Like this, I would say out.
Sorry, it goes slower because of the subtitles. So maybe I just go.
Yeah.
So I just go.
But you understand. I mean,
yeah,
I think we all understand what we want to happen with the scene more.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. The if I go by arrow, it goes by the cut of the subtitles rather than the cut of the actual cut. So I would just go like this. Yeah.
Sure.
Mom, just so you know, you're on.
Yeah, but
this type of shot is like a more interesting like introduction, I think, into the whole scene. Yeah.
So.
And this is the part that I really don't like.
Yeah.
It's not like interrogating a child and putting them like in the spot.
Yeah.
I know. Again, I know the intention is trying, but whatever the intention is not what you're interested in now.
Yeah. He had some interesting exchanges where he's saying, "What are you doing?" And there was one exchange, I think you had it in there, where she's like, "How do you spell church?"
Yeah, but it's because he told her before. That's why I had to cut it.
Oh, okay.
Because in the footage he was like, "Have you seen the prairie house?" there's a church, there's a hospital. So in a way, he was the one
he was
inside
leading
it.
around. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's talking about Little House in the Prairie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, Jackie, it may be also just the way we were taught. This is like, it's making me cringe because I remember our teachers. It's almost like they're blaming you for not knowing.
No, this is, I mean,
I
Raja,
know he's not doing that, but I'm just saying it's just like, to me, it
it's
again.
a very Moroccan style of teaching, isn't it?
Oh,
Yeah.
that's what I was thinking. Yeah.
100%. Yeah. So,
What's your next one? Your next sequence?
so he asks the kid here, which you said to get rid of.
I think you don't need anybody explaining anything. I think Zack said it like, this type of shot, like the one you have now on, that's what you build it around. Look at because you're looking at the faces. You're not, just forget about what, just it's just how pleasing. It's beautiful. You have a lot of beautiful shots. You build your sequence with that, which is beautiful. And because if we're wondering, let us wonder.
Yeah.
Remember that at this point, you have already introduced, according to Jackie, if you keep that idea, you have already introduced via audio a space. So my first thing would be, once I listen to that, are these kids from Morocco, Indiana? If I may think that, but whatever it is, it's like building it without the instructions given by the teacher.
Yeah, I like that. It goes back to Hakim, when we talked about this at the dinner table, which is like, are there moments when you don't know where you are?
Oh
with
God.
Morocco.
And that would be, that's the beauty of it. Again, it's part of that mystery that it's not even a mystery. It's not a Hitchcock thing. It's not you're just giving it. It's how you're telling that story, and it's a refreshing way. That's not just, okay, we are in Morocco. These are these kids. Keep going.
So
you have all of those.
So we see the kids.
Yeah.
Drawing.
I love this type of transition though, like from the paper to like real small town
I do too.
America. That's like great. I wouldn't mess with that unless something really better came up.
That's the Lawrence of Arabia match cut, when
Yeah.
And you're cut and you're in the desert. You're 7,000 miles away, from.
Yeah.
And I like the idea also that you're seeing something being drawn and then boom, you're now.
Yeah.
Although I have to say one thing, I kind of like, I like the drone shots, but I was thinking there's something that's not given to me here, at least what I was thinking, because, and think about your Moroccan audiences, Raja. There is this thing like, where do we get our images of the United States? We get them from TV, from movies. You have the drone shots, but you also have something that would be out of like, Home Alone or something. You have those establishing shots of just the streets, but not the drone shot. I think maybe those two sequences could be combined.
The drone and the empty streets.
Drone and the empty streets, yeah, because again, you are establishing something. And my question to you now would be, do you have anything that establishes, because it's Casablanca, do you have anything that establishes that space more than just those two women trying to buy something in the house?
Yeah. Okay. I think there's enough. Yeah.
Especially at the mosque, right? There was a lot of stuff at the mosque. The wide stuff of the sea in the mosque.
I didn't see. Yeah. I mean, I think that's a good, that wouldn't even be considered, like a postcard thing. I think it's good. I told you, this is the first time that I thought, oh no, give me establishing shots.
Where would you put those Morocco, the Casablanca establishing shots?
Well, I mean, if you have a way of doing the same little tiny thing, like cutting from this Moroccan.
When we go back, okay.
When you have the American kids,
Yeah, when they're drawing and then you go back. Oh yeah, I like that. So it goes from
you're establishing. Yeah, you're establishing.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. So, and we are in the market.
Yeah.
And don't
Uh,
we, so here we went from drone to market back to drone, right?
Yes.
No, we don't have
No, we
drone.
don't. Okay.
It's
Oh, we
only
went
drone.
drone and then market. Okay.
But
Yeah.
I think it would be nice to go from drone to those empty streets, and
Uh-huh.
then like slightly
Then
like
the market. Yeah.
start like think that
Yeah.
you're showing empty streets, but you in the background start
You're
fading
like
up.
approaching
Yeah, like
this.
you're
Yeah.
approaching a little marketplace.
Mm.
Then you cut to these.
And
Really nice to-
speaking of scenes to cut that chair,
see it promises more than it delivers. That this shot promises so much, and then
Mhm.
it
Yeah.
turns out to be just like a decorative thing.
Mhm.
Because I kept thinking, and I get this is like I always think, well, what can I do with this? And I'm thinking,
Mm.
do I have to see the man reading from the book if I stay on this shot and then do what Jackie, what you did with the what you were suggesting with the artisan making the boots, and then we are introduced to Morocco, Indiana. The, I would feel much more comfortable with this shot like this, and then
The mayor.
hearing something.
Uh-huh.
It's a
Sure.
beautiful shot. I mean, it's like I'm thinking Civil War and stuff. I don't know,
yeah,
but
it's a historic home.
yeah.
So,
But yeah, then
sorry.
yeah.
So,
So
Yeah,
what do you do with this?
yeah, and then
I
we.
I think the problem is that you have too many close-ups and not enough where we're like, wait a
Yeah.
minute, I'm closer,
Yeah.
really closer. Where am I?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
that's the problem because they are not necessarily bad shots. I think
Yeah.
they see like this one gives me the information. There you go. We were just talking about. See, I thought I just made that up by myself when in fact,
Mhm.
subconsciously, I had read it. I had read
Mhm.
Morocco's Civil War, uh,
Patterns.
and I'm thinking, well, wait a minute. So
Uh-huh.
you are giving me the
Uh-huh.
information, but you're giving it to me in an interesting way.
Did we have
Yeah.
anything outside of that house? I thought he shot some of it's a big white empty house.
We only have a shot of I think his car coming, a red car, if I'm not
Yeah, it
mistaken.
was his red truck, but at least it's something that takes us to the house because it's the middle of field and it's
Well, maybe let's see then again. If once you edit that
Uh-huh.
scene, uh, you because okay. Oh
Yeah.
yeah. See, well,
I
I don't know why you're
yeah.
hiding Jackie because I think you want to talk about point of view again. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is a question. Sorry, this is a question that we've talked about with Jackie, and if she, if she would be willing to be a part of the film, because I think somehow it's her question, no? Like
yeah,
what
but
started this
and
film?
it works here. So it works here more than it does with the preacher.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I was
Like
gonna.
it works here, but it didn't. It was the
Yeah.
preacher part didn't work for me, but here it works. It's like he's giving a tour. I'm asking him about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think we're all kind of. At least I know I am being pressured now to like really think about point of view like now and if we use that shot that we talked about you that was Rafi who was asking me about the Moroccan not non-existent.
Yeah.
Then it would make sense that we see you. I mean, you don't have.
Yeah, then that makes sense. Yeah.
I think I don't know how much footage you have that would be driving this whole thing because it starts from a child asking his mother. We can't deny that.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe there's something there. I don't know because I haven't seen that. This is actually beautiful. I mean, I prefer this to the shot where he is reading.
Yeah.
Because it's so disturbing visually. I'm thinking just let me hear him because it was backlit. But look at the one that now that you have on the left side, museum, that shot that you have. in your bin.
Sorry,
It's
Go to
the
the left.
shot you have on the left with Jackie in.
this one.
No, the shot on
On the thumbnail.
the yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, sorry. I think it's this one, if I'm not mistaken.
No. I'm looking at your screen now. I'm not
In
looking.
the library.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. Okay, okay.
the
Sorry.
section says Museum
Yeah,
FCC.
yeah, 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 yeah.
But see, so this shot,
Uh-huh.
I know once it gets color corrected, it'll look better.
Yeah.
But I don't know which version you want to keep of who you want to tell us about the story of how the town was named,
Mhm.
or do you want the multiple uh, the multiple stories of how people say it? They're not very. I mean, my favorite is kind of the guy who's being tattooed.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
like
that is
that.
the best one. It's not, yeah,
Yeah.
I
Like,
agree, Hakeem.
he's not the history teacher that
I
you
know
want to rely on.
he's just like offhandedly saying like, I don't know, somebody came over
No,
here.
I actually like that because I mean, I don't think we need the. Yeah, I agree with you, Hakeem. I think we thought in the beginning it was kind of quirky that nobody really knew and everyone had a different version. But you're right, it doesn't work. We
Yeah,
just keep hearing slightly
I,
slight variations.
if I were doing that like in animation, it would be fun. Like you have the history the history teacher. You can animate his story, but then you animate the other one. But my favorite would be to animate the tattoo guy. It's like I, because I think he he was he was forthcoming. It was just just something, it's not, it doesn't have the grandeur of the history with a big H, and that's why it's actually endearing.
Mhm.
And I don't know who told the story of the guy walking in the mud with those boots,
This
and
guy, the mayor, this guy.
this guy, because I'm
Mhm.
thinking, well, that image, I mean, I don't want to introduce at this point like any reenactment, but
Mhm.
the making of the boots is a bit of a reenactment.
Hmm. It is.
Mhm.
And I'm thinking, I really like the idea of these red shiny boots, but walking in the mud, like I mean, that's an image that's not in the film visually, but it's staying
Mhm.
in my brain. Like this,
We could get that because we actually had red boots made. Danny had, who our sound guy had red boots made, and I brought them back and mailed them to him in Indianapolis.
oh,
He
really?
could
Nice.
he could get somebody with a camera to just film him walking through some mud. He lives in the middle of nowhere,
Wait,
Indiana.
wait, 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 wait. So who did you send them to?
Danny Woodruff was our sound guy
I
on the
know,
film.
yeah. And where is Danny?
Danny's in Indiana. He's about an hour from Morocco, Indiana.
Okay,
So he has the boots.
he has the book, but you know what would be cool? Again, we're brainstorming, so don't mind me. But have him take those to the guy who's getting tattoos. I know they would not fit him, but that you're linking the two spaces. I don't know. Maybe I'm taking it too far, but it's like it's something you're. So the boots are in the United States now, right? So Danny
Not the ones you saw being made. We had them made again because we didn't get the filming of the boots. But yeah, we have similar boots, and they're engraved Morocco, Morocco. So we're planning to give them to the town when the film comes out. But yeah, we have red Moroccan leather boots that were made.
keep
They're here.
keep that idea in mind, because there's nothing that we see that links both
Yeah.
places.
Well, I mean,
Mhm.
we could, if I could find a shooter, that's the only problem. If I could find somebody to go drive an hour from Chicago and go shoot it, I mean, we have him in the boots. We have the boots.
Yeah, that being,
Yeah.
or just have him shoot it himself. Like format doesn't matter anymore.
No, he could film himself. I mean, he's a shooter. He was a shooter in the army,
I
like a
I
cinematographer in the army.
I think that would be actually fun. I remember like his character was interesting, like him as a character. Um,
Yeah, I actually have a lot more interaction of them, but I mean, from the tattooer, he was also talking a lot, and yeah, and some of the guy, yeah, there's some funny moments. They made me laugh.
uh,
Yeah.
Yeah, we shot them for a long time.
Yeah, that was a
Just
long
hung out.
I think that's where you guys can be helpful to Raja. Just like,
Mhm.
maybe remembering, or Zach or Jack,
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
moment
And
that,
Hakeem, when you were talking about that clip of Rafi that I shot
yeah,
just back a couple summers ago, um, Zach, when you were at the tattoo place, I was with Colton, and Colton was shooting at the playground, the actual playground where that little scene took place. So we have additional footage
Mhm.
Okay.
that could expand that if we wanted to ever come back to it. I just was pointing that out. We do
Yeah.
have
For
that
sure.
same playground.
Mhm.
We have that same kind of, and I think there were a lot of kids playing, but it was
it's a
there.
beautiful shot. It's it's really nice. I mean, I love that shot. Yeah, but you can definitely
Mhm.
do. Yeah.
Something that I don't know if it fits in very well, but could be like a good transition shot is I got all those shots of those kids riding the dirt bikes in the empty field.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
those
like
are
those ones.
really good. I really like those too. I like the
Yeah.
guy mowing his lawn with the big church in the back, his sleeveless guy mowing the lawn with the cross in the background. I mean, there are some more.
actually,
Yeah.
I,
I think they give a lot of character to the town.
Yeah.
it,
Yeah.
I
I
would,
think that's what it needs is like more
Yeah.
atmosphere to
yeah,
kind of like,
I mean, like I prefer something like what you just described to those shots of like,
Uh-huh.
frames on the wall and
Uh-huh.
furniture and stuff like that. It has,
Mhm.
I mean, if you have kids running and playing outside, it's a no-brainer. I say yes.
Mhm.
But so like where you are at now, Jack, Raja, I think
Uh-huh.
like as far as I'm concerned, this sequence, it should be out.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, if just a matter of keeping the sound more or less and playing with that.
Keeping the sound, and yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, maybe this is the sound that Jackie was talking about. That
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I
over.
mean, he has the best, and he's the mayor, right? And we actually have some footage from that same scene that I want you to lose of me interviewing the pastor outside the church.
Yeah,
Mhm.
We have footage of us talking to him on his
Mhm.
front porch. He's kind of sitting on his porch, so we could
Mhm.
marry his voice here with the visual of him just to tie the voice with the character.
yeah.
Mhm.
But what I would do, Raja, is just have a bin where you take out all of the talking heads,
Mhm.
set them aside
Mhm.
on a bin,
Uh-huh.
label them, keep them in mind, but then
Mhm.
proceed with cutting your film without talking heads.
Yeah.
None whatsoever, as an exercise, just to
Yeah.
see
Yeah.
if it will stand on its own, or if it's gonna need a little bit of an audio here that I want to throw in this part, and
Yeah.
then this, something like the church, for example, the sermon and the
Uh-huh.
yeah,
singing. I think they are important to a Moroccan audience.
for
Yeah.
But,
sure.
but I don't know if you did shoot like a Friday sermon in Morocco.
Shoot a what?
I don't know if you did shoot a Friday sermon in Morocco. Like you have,
Mm.
Are you kidding me?
No.
You
It's
saw the
impossible, no.
issues we had getting permission. No.
oh,
I don't.
yeah,
Yeah.
but you have the shots of like in front of the mosque. You're talking about Hassan the second mosque,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Yeah. 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 And there's also this little mosque where you could see people rushing
yeah,
to get inside.
yeah.
So.
Okay, because
That's the one
because
that probably got to
so
me.
keep that in mind. Again, this is why I think the exercise of just cutting
Mhm.
your footage together, this is where your ideas will rise. Like in the same
Mhm.
way that you're thinking about the
Mhm.
transitions from the drawings to the actual spaces,
Mhm.
back and forth, you have that sermon with the singing and you do have some call to prayer in the
Yeah.
Yeah,
From the
at the
small
market. Yeah.
like, you know, what would it be far-fetched to have the church
Mhm,
and the footage next to the mosque
mhm,
together and have
mhm,
Oh, interesting. Yeah,
and
why
have
not?
uh, I was invited to a wedding of a friend of mine when I was still at Columbia here, and he got married to a nurse uh, who lived in Wisconsin, and he invited me and a girlfriend at the time to his wedding, and it was literally out of nowhere. And then we're like following our lead to where the address was leading, and then we find ourselves in this beautiful beginning of the summer,
mhm,
beautiful field, beautiful like cornfield with a tiny little chapel, tiny little church, and what I'm hearing is Andalusian music, Moroccan Andalusian
mhm,
music coming out of the church during the reception. And,
mhm,
and that's so I'm thinking of something like that where
Yeah.
mhm,
where you have the sounds. I mean, think about it, just like the sounds
Oh,
of
yeah, I
people.
know exactly where you're going with this.
Yeah,
mhm,
because that's well, it I I don't know. It just feels like you're provoking something, and you're
mhm,
making any judgments. You're just saying, okay, a place of worship here and a place of worship here. And you know what? The singing of those people in the church, the audio kind of slips into the
The call
footage
to prayer.
of
mhm.
the
Yeah.
call of
Yeah,
prayer with the footage in Casablanca.
Yeah.
yeah,
Because that's ultimately that's at the core of what your son was asking.
Yeah.
yeah.
That's the theme, and I think you look for those little things like,
Yeah. We are
Mhm,
in a place called Morocco, but there's nothing of Morocco here.
and yet there's everything that you would think in the eyes of
Yeah.
Rafi should be there,
Yeah.
mhm.
you know. Otherwise, you wouldn't be having people storming the Capitol.
Yeah.
Anyway, but yeah, I think these are really good questions. I think that
Mhm.
need to be explored. Um, what do you have? What's the sequence after this?
It's the farmer, and he
I like
basically,
I
yeah,
like this one. I like the demeanor, but I again, it's one of those things like because the question now is going to be like, do you keep one version
mhm,
or do you keep two versions, or do you
mhm,
cut in between them? Do you combine them and you go
mhm,
from the tattoo
Ah,
guy saying one thing about about how what he heard about the horseman with the red boots.
mhm,
You cut to the different versions, so you have an
mhm,
interpretation, different
mhm, of
interpretation of one
this
act.
story, yeah.
If that
one
is,
fact,
yeah,
as opposed to
Mhm,
different interpretations of the whole story.
exactly, yeah,
So I think you could
mhm,
do two things, right? You have the one fact, the boot, and actually because the boot is so central to this,
yeah,
I think because originally I was like, well, you could take like the whole story, but have people tell different parts of it. But I like the boot, just the boot.
that's the
The
book.
boot is the only thing that we need.
Yeah. Well, everybody agrees on a horseman, right? On a
Horseman and a boot. Yeah.
horseman
yeah.
and a boot. Everybody agrees on the people who got curious about the
Yeah.
color of the boots. I think everybody agrees with the mud, unless I'm just obsessing about that. Um, and then so I think it would be nice
Mhm,
to cut back and forth between.
mhm,
It would be, I don't know, it would be kind of cool.
And
Uh,
we have a lot more footage, as Zach noted, from the farm itself, right? Zach, did you want to
Yeah,
tell
I
some?
shot some pretty I
yeah,
thought when I was shooting it some pretty good looking kind of like field
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
shots of them like I don't know what they were doing. I think they were like covering something
They're
in
preparing for
plastic
the,
or
yeah.
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 But they're, I mean, that is central to Morocco, Indiana. It
yeah,
sort of is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I mean when I was there, I spent a lot of time just kind of like shooting like process stuff and like atmospheric kind of Morocco things happening and I think I'd kind of like to see more
Mhm,
of more of that and like Hakim was saying just like trying to see without the interviews or talking heads like what will fit what will
yeah.
like kind of stand out for
Well,
sure.
and that's where I think again, like I'm saying, that's a really interesting exercise because sometimes you would put two images that in your mind have nothing to do with each other,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
and something emerges, and you're like, oh shoot, what I didn't even think about that.
Mm-hmm.
So I
Yeah.
what's the next sequence?
It's the girl from the coffee shop.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
but see, I think they are doing the same thing, right? They are selling another yet another version.
Yeah, basically.
And then this is where I thought, okay, are we focusing on the one African American, you know,
Mm-hmm.
here? Where are you going with this? Because they are not your characters. They're just
Mm-hmm.
there to basically they are like they're just
They're there because they're a different aspect of the town that defies the stereotype of what the town is. And it
yeah,
is they're an
that,
accurate reflection. If you only have and plus we needed more female characters. So they are very much, I mean, there's the Hollywood stereotype, kids drawing what they think a Morocco, Indiana and what Morocco, Indiana actually is. And so to me, they're sort of, it's nuanced and it's complex. There's a lot more footage of them
Yeah.
than you saw. So maybe now that Raja knows the new direction that we're going, she can go back, and I can as well. I can go back and review it and pull out something that's more useful.
yeah.
But I don't want to abandon them because
No,
I'd
For
rather
sure.
lose the
I,
doctor, to be
I'm,
honest.
well, but then I mean the doctor is as relevant as these.
Yeah. He's
Yeah,
also very
I,
charismatic.
I
yeah, the
think
doctor is very good.
Yeah.
I think I'm questioning it only because that whatever you just said, Jack,
Mm-hmm.
has not been established by the.
Okay, so how about this? Instead of having her as a character, we have, she's part of the scenes of the town. She's just there's a coffee shop, right? There's this interesting little coffee shop with this woman and her daughters. Like they could just be seen without being a character. So then
They
they're
can be a
reflected.
character, but I think you just like I would love to see all the footage that you have of her, for example,
Mm-hmm.
and because once you establish that, once you establish the idea that you established the fact that you said you need to have more female characters, that's not enough for the film with just us saying it. Like
No, I know.
how do we?
Yeah, I guess I want a more accurate representation of the town. It's not
With
just these old white farmers.
well, because let's pause about that. Have we established that? Have we yet established that it may be conceived as a town of old farmers?
Uh, I
Is it,
mean, the farmer guy said it, and
that it's not
I cut it because, and I think you see. I mean,
Drone
in a
footage.
previous cut, yeah, in a previous cut, you also see that like most of the people in the marketplace, they're basically white farmers
but so
because they're selling their goods there.
are you talking about the scene where they're playing music?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. It was a longer shot of people basically selling their stuff there, and I made it shorter. But I think they are where you see they're mainly white farmers, male white
Have
farmers.
do you have wide shots of that?
Yeah.
There are some white shots, yeah.
Well, because I mean what I can
Yeah.
remember is the close-ups of the instruments.
So just
Yeah.
add that back because Raja, that was a good,
Yeah.
I mean, you can just add that back. I mean, and also knowing that we have more space, right? I think you'll feel less constrained knowing we can go up to 40.
Yeah, and that's another thing. Don't think about your running time now. Just
Yeah, yeah.
cut the film, and then you can always.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, you said her daughters. Does she have more than one?
She has
think
two
she has
daughters.
three.
Yeah.
Two daughters,
Yeah.
and does she have a husband?
No.
Yeah. No,
Okay.
she.
And the
I th-
daughters are African American.
Yeah, sure. Well, the kids, she's not with, I don't think she's with the children's father, I think anymore. I believe.
Yeah, I think that's what was
Yeah, she's,
going
but she
on. I
has,
think I remember her
Did
talking about
she
that.
talk about that?
Yeah.
I
She
think she
mentions.
does.
Yeah, she mentioned briefly about how her being white. I think he was some part of some place from Chicago, and she said that she was perceived differently there. And then she said how hard it was for him also to get a job here. And then I think she also mentions few incidents of her kids basically being African American in a mostly white school.
Well,
like I think one of the something like that.
have that. That's
Yeah.
I think that's interesting. I think that's interesting. Maybe it has a place in the film because
Yeah.
that with the African American doctor, except from when he talks about people bringing him canned food and there's a hand that gives him
Yeah.
what I was thinking. I was thinking he's. I mean, because it's relevant.
Mm-hmm.
It is relevant, and what you're doing is you're establishing that
Mm-hmm.
everything you would expect to happen in a small city or a small town didn't happen to those two people, but it doesn't that it doesn't happen,
And it did happen.
and it did happen. Yeah,
It did happen. So yeah, maybe just play around with that, Raja.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
because you're taking it one step further than just
Yeah.
it and it answers
Mm-hmm.
Rafi's question in that first shot.
What
Mhm.
Moroccan would live there?
Yeah,
Right.
exactly. um, okay.
Oh, okay. So we
Now
go
that-
now to the tattoo guy,
Yeah.
Yeah,
and I do have a lot more from him, basically.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have a lot of good banter and chat.
Yeah, they were very chilled, and he
Yeah.
also evokes a little bit the racial climax of
Yeah.
the town, basically.
I think
But
that's something that you have to kind of have.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
Raja, and I'm not sure. I'm just thinking in the same way, like with the setting up of the tattoo sequence,
Mm-hmm.
like proceeding also by extreme close up and moving out.
Mm-hmm.
Make
I think, yeah.
I keep thinking about my friend Rushdie, who's like he's a lawyer, but he practices in a small town in Morocco, and what he would be thinking until he realizes, oh, okay, I know what you guys are doing.
Mm-hmm.
But that is kind of how you started this scene, right? There were some like
Yeah.
close-ups
Yeah.
of ink and like
Yeah.
What is the first shot?
Sorry.
Oh, the first shot is a close up.
Right there.
Yeah, yeah.
That one, that's what I'm saying. No, instead of that shot of the arm, because you establish
This.
you start with the close up. Yeah, you start
Yeah.
yeah.
and you
I
move
like that.
out.
Yeah.
And,
Okay.
and I would be really interested in seeing this scene without their talking.
Sorry.
I would be interested in like building it up without
The talking.
talking, and then because at that point the talking is literally just the added pleasure that you will give us.
Yeah.
And because the visuals are interesting. And Zack, you were talking about grading, about color grading. I think I don't know who's going to be color grading this, but you need to make this a lot less flat than it looks now.
It'll be we'll have it graded.
Yeah.
Well,
I think it was shot in S-Log. That's why it's flat.
Yeah, I shot it in log for sure. Yeah, the reason it looks flat is all most of the footage I shot in like some log form.
Yeah, so it's good for color grading.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and we are in the school in the States.
I like this. I like that. But see, look, you have that shot, the establishing shot of the school.
Yeah.
That one's kind of boring, I think.
There you go. See, this is the thing. Like, establishing shots sometimes just like they take away the curiosity you may have without them. I mean, because once you cut to the next shot,
we know we're in a school.
Yeah, and we don't miss this one. There's nothing terribly, because it looks like a mukata. it looks like a prefecture in Casablanca.
And yeah, it's the kids scene basically explaining to them what they would do.
Well, and here's where the interesting thing
Mm,
happens. So if we're deleting the teacher in the Moroccan
mhm,
school scene, and
mhm,
we're starting from the extreme close up and moving our way out,
mhm.
this may be actually okay.
Yeah, I was just saying that because this then puts that into context, and she's
Yeah,
so
yeah.
much more natural about
You're, you're
explaining it.
yeah,
Mhm.
Yeah,
you're building you're pulling the strings. It's like you're doing detective work
yeah,
a little bit.
Mhm.
So this I think would be fine,
Mhm.
and it sets up the difference also.
yeah. I agree. I totally 100% agree.
Did these kids like? Was this a homework assignment for them or something?
No,
Because
what happened is
okay,
no, they didn't even know what they were going to do because we wanted it to be
right, yeah.
same in Morocco. We didn't tell them anything.
Hmm.
We
Yeah,
wanted it to be as organic as possible. So the teacher
dude,
knew
yeah.
when we went in, but no, the teacher was explaining it for the first time what was going to happen.
But
And they,
I like what happened. Like, who's the kid who said that he saw the
yeah,
cooking show? Cooking,
yeah,
Yeah.
on Food Network, yeah.
and then,
He drew a pretty good Moroccan like
it did.
house.
I think I know that show. I think it's
It was
what
Anthony Bourdain. Anthony,
that
Bourdain.
Bourdain?
yeah, it was Anthony Bourdain in Morocco. Yeah.
I hope that kid was watching Anthony Bourdain.
Uh, so you have this, and then
And they just start
yeah,
drawing,
yeah,
and then we jump to the kids in Morocco,
So that's
basically.
where you want to have the close up of a scene. And now we're going to insert Casablanca. We're going to do the same thing from paper to, right?
yeah,
To
Mhm.
scenes of
That could
Casablanca.
be cool.
yeah.
So the same thing what we did with from paper morphing to Morocco, Indiana. And now we're going to do paper morphing to Casablanca.
Yeah.
And then think about this. And again, these are
Mhm.
you can trust this stuff, you know. But I'm just saying,
Mhm.
you know, think about child, American, Moroccan, American,
Mhm.
like
Oh, going back and forth. So after we go there, so Casa, and then, yeah, and just so as the kids are explaining, they're all explaining there back and forth.
yeah,
I like that idea.
Sorry, can you repeat that?
So Raja, so what
Yeah.
you'll end up doing is that when you go back and you're gonna morph from that picture in Morocco Elementary in Indiana where that
Yeah.
concept of a scene, and we're gonna do the same thing where we're gonna do we're gonna do see Casablanca. So we're gonna
Uh-huh.
go from paper Lawrence of Arabia to Casablanca, right?
Uh-huh.
And then when we're with the kids, what Hakim was suggesting, and I like this idea, is so you have this kid talking about Morocco, Indiana, and then boom, you have a kid explaining. So the
Mhm.
explanations of the drawings are
Mhm.
together in one sequence, but they're back and forth between
Mhm.
Morocco, America, Morocco, America, Morocco. I like that
Yeah.
idea. I think that's
Yeah.
gonna work.
you can put them first, like editing wise. You can just set them like just cut from one to the other, one to the other.
Yeah.
You checkerboard them, and then
Yeah.
you see where you can again create trouble for your
Mhm.
viewer by having one thing bleed into the other.
Yeah. I think it's because I think it would work a lot better than just having the scene divided through the film, because I think it
Yeah,
loses a lot of its
Yeah, for
I
intensity.
agree.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So all the explanations will be in one place. The drawing is in the
Mhm.
beginning, then the drawing in Morocco, but the teacher is telling us
Mhm.
what's happening, so we know what's happening, and then we morph into the explanation. Then the kids are showing off their drawings,
Yeah,
Yeah, and link in between them.
and
you're,
that might even be the way to end the film.
yeah. That's because
Mhm.
again,
It's so strong, and it's really the central theme.
that's what it is. Yeah. I mean, look at this. Like this looks this is a much better establishing shot than the
Mhm.
shot. And it is a Moroccan, right? Yeah. It is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, that's Morocco.
Yeah.
No. Yeah. He
Yeah.
drew
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. The one thing that I would add if I were like with them at
Uh-huh.
age I was is I remember having seen West Side Story when I was there. And for me, America was the the exit stairs that they have in the back of buildings.
Right on the soundstage they were shooting
Yeah.
on or whatever.
Fire escape, yeah. And
Yeah.
but this is, I mean, these, this generation has had much more access to information, right, about other cultures than we did when we were growing up.
Absolutely.
So what happens after this then? How are we ending now? What do we have after this?
After the kids,
Yeah.
we are in church.
Church.
Well, we
Back in
talked about
church.
this theme.
Yeah.
We talked about this because
Mhm.
because but here's what you may be confronted with if you read the sermon
Mhm.
of the preacher.
Mhm.
I think I'd have to see it edited before. So
Mhm.
because you have two parts to this, at least here you have the sermon and then you have the singing.
Yeah.
And on the other side, do you have any outside shots of the church?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so
Some.
that's something you would cut to the mosque in Casablanca,
Uh-huh.
and where you have the singing and the adhan back and forth.
Mhm.
I would move this though. I wouldn't end the film here. I think I would move
we're not-
this to the
I don't think we're talking about. I don't know that you can decide what the ending is now.
Mhm.
Until you put these blocks together, and I think the ending will offer itself.
Yeah, but I mean, for me, the narrative arc that this scene, what you're describing I think the narrative arc to me, it's misplaced after the kids are drawing. It feels like it's more relevant before the Morocco elementary kids are drawing.
Yeah, no,
I'm just thinking of a narrative.
yeah, you're
story
ahead. No, that's fine. I thought you.
Not about the ending. I just don't think to me it fits maybe after the tattoo artist, but it fits somewhere. I mean, the bulk of the film is Morocco, Indiana, right? I mean, because that's what the establishment. But yeah, I think I would move it. And then I even like that because then if you do what Hakim is describing, right, where you have the church and then you go to the call to prayer and you have some scenes from Morocco, and then we go into the school in Morocco Elementary where the kids are drawing about it. That is a great, that's arc it, right? That's a great transition.
Yeah.
Did that make sense, Raja?
Yeah. I mean, in a way, because here it's divided as the scene of the school is cut. So I think it would make a lot of sense if I think a lot of the scenes would be before the school, basically. Yeah. Yeah. And
you have this one, and then then you have the singing, you have the sermon, you have the singing,
and him talking.
Yeah. How do you really need this?
I mean, he's talking here about a little bit about the perception of the town.
All I'm looking at is physically the guy and the way he sits, and I'm finding myself thinking things that I shouldn't be thinking, and I feel like I'm not paying that much attention to what he's saying. I'm also looking at that flag behind him, and I'm just making up stuff. And I thought, why am I not listening to every single word that he's saying?
So he himself is too distracting. Maybe the sound bite is useful, but not. We don't need to look at him. Yeah.
There you go. So in that case, Raja, have you done a paper edit?
Yeah.
Okay. So maybe it's time for another paper edit with that would help you and Jackie visualize. I don't know if you do like sticky notes or something on the wall.
Sticky notes on the wall, yeah.
Yeah, where you can just like for this scene you have it, and then you just put a note that says, okay, take sound bite, audio, no video, for example, just so you remember everything.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a sweet man, but
visually distracting.
I'm thinking, are we not like doing him a disservice, basically? And then we get.
Then we're in with the doctor.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we don't have a lot of footage of him beside the interview.
Yeah. Well,
for privacy reasons, we weren't allowed to film at all any of his clinical.
Yeah, but I don't know about that first shot of him. Again, it's another, like in this case, it's an exposition. Like
Mm-hmm.
he's looking at his computer so
Mm-hmm.
much. And he's like,
Mm-hmm.
and he, because the way he describes how he first
Mm-hmm.
peeked through the window
Mm-hmm.
when he arrived in town, because his story is kind of, it's interesting, and maybe because of the way he tells it.
Mm-hmm.
Where is he from originally?
Nigeria.
There you go.
But
Uh,
but he could be saying that the peeping in the window and stuff without a reenactment though. But we have a lot. We have a lot of that footage of the storefronts of
of
the
him, yeah,
right. So we
him
could have him talking
over
as we're looking at the town.
yeah. That's what I'm saying, because I think when he tells the story of arriving and peeking and the sheriff and all this stuff, I have no
Mm-hmm.
problem with that talking head. It's I've heard it a million times,
Mm-hmm.
but it's still valid to me. But
Hmm.
I think it can be nurtured by
Mm-hmm.
shots, not to illustrate.
Mm-hmm.
Um, is this the only thing you have with him?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that, to me, that's a big question.
Uh-huh.
I mean, it's a good story, and it sort of backs up what the coffee house woman is
Do you
saying.
do you then need to bring those two together?
That's what I'm wondering. And then
Maybe.
it
And
sort of makes sense. And then you transition to the tattoo artist who sort of backs up. Now you have a white tattoo artist describing the race in the town. And so it's kind of all in one place in the middle.
yeah, and usually you don't associate tattoo artists and
Yeah.
with tattoos. You associate them with it. It's all about perception. Isn't it?
Yeah.
It's all about what you visually.
Yeah, maybe he goes with, as you expand on sort of focus Amanda more, with more
Mm-hmm.
scenes from the just scenes of the coffee. I want to see the coffee shop more,
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and then her talking about race, and then you have him talking about race,
yeah,
then we transition to the tattoo artist, I mean, who mentions it, it doesn't dwell on it, but then that gets us out of the conversation.
sure. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. And then your next sequence.
We're in the bowling alley.
Yeah, I, I was
Yeah.
that was not very memorable to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, the bowling
Basically,
alley wasn't as the snowmobile. Zach, didn't you shoot the snowmobile museum?
yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
What
I didn't I didn't put him because I didn't really find whatever he was saying interesting to the story, but that was when the story was
different?
basically yeah, exactly different and Morocco, but he just talks about his ancestors in Ireland, something like that.
He
And
talks
he
about the museum though, doesn't he?
a little bit, yeah.
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 Enough.
He gave us like a little tour of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah,
But
I
And I don't know, it may not be enough to really, I don't know, Zach, what do you think? I mean, you shot all this stuff. You shot the,
yeah. I don't know about the snowmobile
okay,
footage. Yeah,
it doesn't work. But what about
I'm not
this,
sure.
what we're looking at now? I mean, this is the town. This is, to me, is the meat of the town.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
in real life, that was like the town's community center,
Yeah.
and like what everybody was looking forward to every week, like every Friday going down there, and
and then that needs to be established, and
Yeah.
yeah,
need more maybe. And again, maybe like this is like
Uh
structurally, this may be closer to the market,
Yeah,
uh-huh.
is the music
Mm-hmm.
and
yeah,
the people than
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
because
yeah, yeah,
at this stage you have moved so far away from just
for
right.
sure.
This is more establishing
that.
what the town
Yeah,
is. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think if I think one of the characters was also present in this gathering.
Yeah, they all
The
will move in
tattoo.
and out
Yeah,
because they all, yeah, the tattoo
yeah,
guy, his
okay.
son is the American Legion president. So
yeah, yeah. Well, and then we jump to the boots. Like
fabulous.
I don't like. I personally don't. I'm not so much of a fan. I don't think this kind of cutting in between works for the boots
Yeah.
Maybe it would be something that, I don't know, maybe something that would come at the end or somehow would find itself, but like as a whole rather than.
That's what I'm assuming
Yeah.
that this is
Yeah.
part. This is
Yeah.
part of the shot or the sequence that we have at the
Yeah.
beginning of the film,
We're
right?
going to put it
Yeah.
together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I mean, we established that you need to
Yeah.
just edit it together
Yeah.
as if it were its own short movie.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And whether it goes at the beginning and the end, we don't know. Right now, I'm kind of like,
Yeah.
maybe it goes at the beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Um,
same with the kids, I think.
Well, the kids, we said that it would be interesting to see, like, okay, you have the Moroccans explaining, and you
Back
have
and
Yeah.
forth,
the
back and forth,
explaining,
back and forth.
Yeah.
the back and forth.
Yeah. And we jump to here,
Yeah,
We're gonna
which,
put that.
I don't know what this scene is doing to the film.
yeah, I think it was just something that we discussed before, and it was about kind of COVID.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but COVID is in the
Yeah.
film because the kids are masked and there's like,
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think
We'll
that
just cut it, yeah.
Yeah.
needed.
And yeah, and then I think
Yeah,
this we also
well,
talked
this is
about
what
it.
you need a lot more of,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
Yeah, and
need
then
to establish the space before you get to that.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
once you have the boot making scene
Mm-hmm.
edited, can you go
Mm-hmm.
back to that shot where it's like the beauty shot of where the hand puts the
Yeah.
that shot?
Yeah.
I don't know if you
Uh-huh.
need that,
Uh-huh.
but for
Uh-huh.
now, I mean, leave it. Once you edit,
Mm-hmm.
then you'll see.
And then maybe somewhere from, okay, so but if when you see those boots, those red boots at the end,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
what I immediately think of is the red boots on the sign that says Morocco, Indiana.
Yeah.
So
And-
whether this scene is at the beginning or the end, what I want to
Mhm.
see directly after these red boots is a sign that says Morocco, Indiana with red boots on it.
that
Right.
and the potential scene that you may still need to shoot or ask Danny to shoot it about the with the boots now. 'Cause
In Indiana.
the sign by itself is like, okay, you're doing it by editing the two shots together.
Mm-hmm.
But like we're trying to making it alive. You're like just like,
Yeah, no, and I mean, there's no reason why we can't.
yeah, why not? I mean, so you don't lose anything by trying. Why not?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm just sorry, I'm just trying to because we have beside the snowmobile, we also have the police.
He didn't do anything for me. The guy
Yeah.
that riding around in the golf cart.
Yeah.
Oh, what about the ride along like in the police SUV?
Can I see that shot?
Bill was so taken with the guy's dog. It was really
He was just bringing back someone else's dog.
Right,
that-
yeah.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah. But yeah, I think he's the only him
Yeah,
and beside the farmer lady. We
yeah,
just
so show him, but you know, again, some of this could be in the kind of feel of the community without
Yeah.
talking and like
Mhm.
this. I
Yeah.
mean, just some stuff just so we see the town. There are probably
Mhm.
there might
Exactly.
be
That's what you need to do. You
some
need to have-
scenes,
yeah,
right? Here we have
Mhm.
white police officer, white dude, stop sign, police cruiser. There, I mean, to me, this is
Mhm.
the town. So
Yeah.
there might be something you can pull from that. And same
For
with the
sure.
farmer lady. We may not use. I'm just going back to what Hakim said, but by trying to see
Mhm.
the film without hearing it.
yeah.
Mhm.
And the farmer lady, there's a lot we saw there,
Yeah.
especially with the pigs and stuff that maybe we don't need to hear from her, but we saw
Yeah.
that. I saw Morocco. I saw
Mhm.
her in the pig house. I mean, I saw her feeding the pig. I don't know. I
Yeah.
think there might be
No.
some stuff you can pull from that.
Yeah.
Yeah, click on the
Yeah.
pig. Show Hakim if you don't mind some of that. I mean, this is but here she
Sorry,
is.
this is not the
No.
yeah. Wait, sure.
You guys shot this last year, right?
In January we did, right before the pandemic.
Before, yeah. Gosh, it seems like forever.
I know.
Sorry, I have her in some cut, but yeah, she basically just
But we have
Those-
some wide shots of the actual pig farm. We have, like.
Yeah. And we have pictures of the. Sorry, I just can't find it here.
No,
But,
don't. But you know
yeah.
what? I mean, you can go.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I don't think anything was usable from that stuff Danny shot of at the Christmas tree lighting.
The
Christmas.
yeah.
Because there were
The tree thing.
the Christmas
The
tree.
Christmas tree. Yeah. Sorry.
Because we saw the town. But I think we have a similar scene, which is at the marketplace.
Yeah.
At the
I
Christmas
think.
tree lighting.
Yeah. I think it's like chronologically speaking, I think it might be used, but also I feel like there are a lot of alternatives that might not will prevent the question for the spectators. Oh, did we jump in time or was it happening?
Yeah, no, I think you're right about that. And then the only other thing that I wanted to I don't think anything was usable of Marrakesh.
The first one.
January.
Yeah, sorry, I just find it.
What's the footage from Morocco?
Yeah, it's
The tannery.
Yeah.
It was wider shots to get to the bootmaker. He didn't do the bootmaker, but he has more of these wide shots.
Yeah.
Oh.
I think it was just I to be honest, like I think I had a problem with the footage because for me it sounded so much like when someone goes shoot like basically Morocco and this is what you would like see or think of.
Predictable.
You mean like a tourist kind
tourist,
of...
Yeah. I mean there was like I think with the artisan, the crafty man, I mean you feel something individual and very subjective in what he does. But here it feels very
generic.
Generic.
Well, Danny's not a cinematographer, so that was he was just
I mean like I don't know. I'm just thinking there's something intricate about this shot, for example, that you had on.
Yeah.
Like this one.
I
mean you don't need the people, but if you have any like these shots.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, because I can't really tell. My screen is small, but this is a tannery, right?
Yes, it's a tannery.
I don't know. I think it's worth just exploring. At least look at if there is anything that you may want to. So this would be like this would be prior to the laying of the sheet of the artisan.
Yes.
Yeah.
That maybe there is something there.
Maybe.
Okay. Yeah. Sorry, is this sound coming from me or is it this buzzing? Yeah. Sorry.
No, don't worry about it. Yeah, it's the footage.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, I think you may want to look at that footage of in Marrakesh and just what can you put together before we start seeing the work on the booth.
Oh, and do you have the footage that I was mentioning at the playground in Morocco, Indiana?
Yes.
That Colton shot?
Yeah.
Can you just
Sorry.
Can you bring us through that quick?
Yeah, I think I put it in town. Yeah. Sorry.
There's lots of open field stuff, but yeah.
Those may be important.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
These are interesting shots, you guys. What I'm looking at, like, look at this. This stuff is interesting.
Yeah.
I think this is mostly some stuff that I shot.
Yeah, but you know what, dude? This is like we're talking about you need to build.
Yeah.
We are going by our misconceptions or stereotypes or however you want to refer to them, but you are helping us build a new mythology.
Yeah.
You know, you're whatever
Yeah.
you're showing, whatever you're giving us is it's a. I mean, think of it as a mood piece. Like, yeah, like this is really interesting to me. It's
Uh-huh.
and I'm not even putting myself like in the shoes of an audience member from, let's say, Morocco, but regardless, it goes
Mm-hmm.
both ways.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, However much you have that would help us, put together an image of
Yeah, for
now.
sure.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
because I remember Zach, you went by yourself a lot, where you just shot.
Yeah, I usually went with
Right.
another guy,
Right. Yeah.
Like at
but
something
yeah,
other than when you guys wanted as a crew and you did interviews and conversations and all that stuff. Just like those, I,
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
everything that I've seen now, I'm thinking, wait a minute, there is stuff there.
No, we have a lot of stuff. Yeah, and I don't see the kids stuff in here. That was the stuff Colton shot. This Bill shot this stuff at the Sam Race. This
Yeah.
was
At
back
the
at the
playground.
playground with the big slide, the metal
yeah.
slide.
Bill was really into this baseball
Yeah,
field,
I know. He really is.
but
And maybe there are at least a couple of shots from there. Why not?
Yeah.
I mean, baseball,
What is more American?
soccer.
But anyway, I mean, but you might be able to find it. I don't
Yeah.
go
Yeah,
on to find it now, but you know what I'm talking about because that'll,
Yeah.
and you have that clip of Rafi saying where are all the
Yeah.
moms,
Yeah.
right? I sent that to
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
Zach, have you ever seen that shot?
which one?
That,
Uh, I
that,
think I saw. I think I saw that
When I was
one.
recruiting
Yeah,
him, yeah, when I was recruiting him
yeah.
through, I think I shared it. So,
That was pretty good. That's pretty good.
okay, so Raja, I know you're gonna have the bulk of the work to do on this. So, do you want to get together in like a
Yeah.
couple of weeks, maybe?
Yeah. Sure.
Um,
Yeah.
you just let us know when you're ready for us to look at
Okay.
a cut, and this time Sunday afternoons works really well for me. I don't know if it works well for everybody else.
Yeah.
Usually,
For
yeah.
me.
I'm not here. Just said
Yeah.
no.
Well, yeah. But let's in a couple weeks maybe we'll shoot for something.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Okay.
very
All
nice.
right. And Raja, I'm going to send you once it renders. I'll send you the recording of the session in case you want to go back.
Yeah. Yeah.
Notes
Please.
that-
Yeah. I took notes, but yeah. It's
Yeah, but
always good to
I always
have.
that's why I record them too. And Hakim,
Yeah.
I was even thinking this might be have your students in documentary watch what a virtual editing session looks like.
I think, no, but I'm serious. I think it'd be.
I'll have a recording of it. Why not?
Yeah, I mean,
So.
that's the whole thing is that you always learn more.
Yeah, from watching other people. So this would be something for them to watch.
Funny that like when stuff starts emerging, you
Yeah.
don't know when that happens. Okay.
Okay. All right. Take care. Thanks, everyone.
Okay. Have
Bye.
Bye.
everyone.
Like Raja.